As with many of the objects and controls you'll encounter in Access, one of the easiest ways to construct a basic query is to use the Simple Query Wizard. The wizard will present a series of options to guide us through the creation process, and will provide us with a good base that we can go back and tweak using all of the tools in the full design environment later. When constructing a query, whether you're using the wizard or the design view, it's critical that we start with a clear and specific question that we want answered. So before jumping in with a vague idea of the kind of information you're looking for, make sure that you can succinctly verbalize the question that you're going to ask. The more you can visualize the question beforehand and think about all of the pieces that you'll need to gather in order to get the right answers, the easier the build process will be. In this movie, we're going to use the wizard to walk us through the steps to create a query which will answer the following question. What are our customers' email addresses, and what region are they from? We saw a completed version of this query in the last movie, but we're going to recreate it here using the Simple Query Wizard. In order to get started, we'll go up to the Create tab. And here in the section called Queries, we'll click on Query Wizard. That'll start up the new Query Wizard, where we can choose which type of query we'd like to create. I'm going to choose this first option here, the Simple Query Wizard, and go ahead and say OK. Now we're going to see this screen a lot throughout this course. Let's take a look at what components we have. Here we have a drop-down list that lists all of the tables that are present in our database. If we had any queries, we would also see those in this list as well. I can choose a table from the list and see all of the fields that are in that table down below here in a section called Available Fields. Now, in order to build a query, we need to move fields from the Available section here over to the Selected Fields section over here, and we'll do that using the buttons here in the middle. This first button will move over a single field. If we want to move all the fields over, we'll use this button here. And if we want to move fields back from Selected over to Available, we'll use these two buttons down here. So let's go ahead and build our query that asks, what are our customers' email addresses, and what region are they from? I'll start with information from the Customers table, so make sure that that's selected here in this drop-down list. I'm going to go ahead and take first name and move that over, and then I'll select last name and move that over. I also need to know their email address, so I'll click on Email and move that over. Now I want to know what region these customers are from, but I don't have any information about the region here in the Customers table. So in order to find that, I'll go back to the drop-down list and select the States table. Now from the available fields in the States table, I'm going to take Region and move that over. Here are the fields that I'll need for my particular query question. Let's go ahead and press Next. Access is then going to ask us which title do we want for our query. This is the name that's going to show up over here in the navigation pane, and it suggests a name based off of the original table that we started with, in this case the Customers table. So that's why it says Customers Query. Let's go ahead and be a little bit more specific about the answer that we're trying to get here. I'm going to call it Customer Email with Region. Then we have the choice of either opening the query to view the information or jumping straight into the query design view. We're going to take a look at the design view in the next movie, so for now just open the query to view information. Go ahead and press Finish, and the query opens. We can see the fields that we've selected from each of our tables. The first name and last name fields in email come from the Customers table, and the region name comes from the States table. Let's go ahead and use the Simple Query Wizard to create another query. I'm going to close this one out and go back to the Create tab, Query Wizard. This time, let's create a query that asks, who is our best customer? Once again, I'm going to select the Simple Query Wizard, and we'll say OK. For this query, we need to find information about our customers and their combined transaction history. So we're going to start with the Customers table again, here. I'm going to choose their first name and move that over, and move over the last name. Next, I'm going to choose some information from the Products table. This will get me the price that they paid for their particular orders. I'm going to choose Products, and then choose Suggested Retail as the column I want, and move that over as well. That'll give me the suggested retail price for each of their orders. Let's go ahead and press Next. Now this is going to bring up an additional screen that we didn't see in the last go-around, and that's because we included Suggested Retail Price, which is a numerical field. Here, because we've included a numerical field, Access wants to know if we want to see a detail or summary of our information. If I choose Detail, it's going to show me information from every single record. Or I can choose Summary, which will add up or find the average of some of our values. I'm going to choose Summary and choose Summary Options. It asks me what I want to do with my suggested retail numbers. I can sum them all up across each customer to find the sum total of how much they've spent. Or I can find the average, minimum, or maximum transaction that they've spent. I also have the option down here to count up the number of orders that each customer has purchased with the company. I'm going to choose Sum and Count and press OK. Let's go ahead and press Next on the next screen. And finally, we get to name our query. In this case, Customer's Query is not a good name again. I'm going to name this Customer Total Sales. Once again, we'll choose to open the query to view information, and we'll press Finish. Now we can see that we have 894 records here. These are the customers that have actually placed orders with the company. First of all, they're alphabetized by their first name. We have their last name column here. I have the sum total of how much they've spent with the company, and I have a count of how many times they've placed orders. Now, in order to answer the question that we set out with, which was who is our best customer, it kind of depends on how we define what our best customer is. For instance, if I sort this based off the sum of suggested retail, I can choose sort largest to smallest to find the people who have spent the most money with us. In this case, Sybil Hampton has spent almost $100,000 with us. Or we could say our best customers are the customers that have placed the most number of orders. Let me go ahead and sort by this column over here, largest to smallest. In this case, Tobias Riviera has ordered 9 times with us, the most of any customer. So the Query Wizard provides us a quick and easy way to get started writing queries. You can combine fields from multiple tables and even apply some basic aggregate calculations to your data. The simple Query Wizard walks you through the build process step by step and can provide you with a solid base on which you can add on more advanced functionality in the query design environment. By starting with a query written in the wizard, we can begin to see some of the choices we made in the dialog boxes translates into the query's design. We'll take a look at that in the next movie.